I'm Sophia A Jackson. I'm the editor and founder of Afridiziak Theatre News, and today I'm joined by
Geoff Aymer.
Wonderful.
Lovely to meet you. And the Zoom.
Lovely to meet you as well. And would you like to say a bit about yourself?
I am an actor and writer. I also used to do stand-up comedy, but I stopped doing that about 14, 15 years ago. So now I just act and write. And I've been performing for the best part of around 30 years or so. And in amongst that, my writing work isn't as prolific as my acting work, but I've got a decent body of work on both sides.
So this interview is very much based on your writing career. So could you tell us some of the projects that you've worked on before The Wonderful, which we'll talk about shortly?
I think I did a couple of theatre and education pieces back in the early part of the 2000s. So there was one of the things I remember doing was Blue Elephant Theatre, which is based in Camberwell. Yeah, same areas, general areas, Theatre Peckham. Back in 2004, I think it was. They asked me to write a short piece that was to do with environment and litter and stuff to be toured around local schools. Yeah. It was called What a Wonderful World, and that showed a futuristic environment. And in the future, these people are in a park. No, I can't. I'm trying to remember how it went now. Yeah, there's people in what looks like a really nice park, but it turns out that it's been a specially created park because we've done so much damage to the planet that outside these special parks, everything is just polluted and just toxic. So you're allowed, you can kind of relive the past when you go into one of these specially selected sanitized parks, but as soon as you go back out into the real world, you have to wear a hazmat suit and all of that because the air is not safe to breathe and all of these things. I think the biggest thing I've done, I wrote a two-hander for Robbie G and Eddie Nesta called The Oddest Couple, and they were playing multiple characters, but the hook of it was there was no costume or set, so it's just about their acting abilities to morph into these different characters, and they did it very well actually. So yeah. That's a couple of things. I'm not going to go into everything I've written.
That's absolutely fine. So that would obviously be where your comedy writing skills would come in very handy. In terms of writing The Wonderful, which is currently playing at Theatre Peckham, which you wrote.
Yes.
It's quite a specific genre of writing. So how did you approach that?
What, comedy or just the Christmas show? Or
a Christmas show is very specific.
I think the general gist of it is to just because I knew I was writing a show that for which children would be watching, it was just to try and make it as fun as possible. And obviously I know that adults are going to be there, so you want to write jokes that the adults will get. But I wasn't like going for the, sometimes with the panto things, they'll go for these double entendres, slightly smutty things. But I didn't deliberately not do that, but I just didn't feel the need to do it. I just wanted to make people laugh and try and write gags that both children and adults will get, like Pixar films do so well. I guess I've been influenced by the Pixar movies. They managed to hit both of those demographics very well. So it was just about writing something that was going to be fun for the whole family, really.
Yeah, I definitely think it worked. My daughter is 7, Maya, and it was her very first press night. So we were there last week, and she absolutely loved it because I wasn't sure if she would. But she did. She really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it equally as well. So how closely linked to the Wizard is it? The Wizard of Oz, would you say, in your own?
I think that story, the original Wizard of Oz, it's such a timeless sort of tale, the whole voyage of discovery thing, that it's very easy to just mold that and take it on a different tack. And
Yeah.
what I wanted to do with it was, because we've already had The Wiz, which was the African-American version of it. And I thought, well, let's bring it into the here and now, because The Wiz, I think, was originally done back in the late 70s.
Yes.
I thought, let's bring it into the here and now. Let's make it for a British audience, a young British audience, and try and put in characters and ideas that now's generation will relate to. And I thought, so things like, you know, if you're from Peckham or any inner city bar in London, you won't be able to although a scarecrow is a fun character, that's not really going to be of your world. So I thought, well, what are today's generation into? They're into clothes, they're into the way they look. So like, oh, we can make one of the characters a mannequin instead. and because we live in such a sci-fi age, I remember when I was little, I used to think of times like this as very futuristic. And now we're here, we have phones that look like this. I can't believe it. So I thought, instead of a Tin Man, let's have a cyborg. So those are the differences that we have. The lion is still the lion, but I thought, because I wanted to speak to the young generation of guys growing up in areas like this about, you know, who might be drawn into a particular type of lifestyle and think it's cool to be a street thug. Let's try and flip that, and let's have this guy who thinks he's a street thug, but he's not really.
Oh, it's really not.
yeah. And there's a lot of. I tried to have a lot of depth to him, like make him sensitive and quite. I don't want to give it away, but there's a lot more to him than just the posturing kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think all of the characters have got the right level of depth and are relatable for different reasons. So was there much consultation with the writing process to make sure that it was down with the kids?
To an extent, I worked I think myself, Suzann, who directed it, the two composers, Jordan and Nick, and the designer, Katrina, we discussed various ideas. And then I set about writing it, and then every so often Suzann would come back to me and say, well, maybe we need a bit of this and we need a bit of that. But I think the thing that was really helpful, because I think she initially wanted to put it on last Christmas, but because of COVID, we couldn't. But she wanted to give children in the local area something to watch. So what she asked me to do was write a shortened version, which we called the wonderful storybook version. Okay. And the idea is we would just have the adult actors, and one of the actors would be a narrator. So it'd be like a Jack and Nori thing, where there's a guy reading the story, blah, 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 this happened, and then the characters would come to life as he said it. Yeah. And that was very helpful, because we did that in front of select group of primary school children. It was just primary schools we invited to that. And I made a mental note of what they really, 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 really liked. And obviously, because you have to shorten it, you've got to get down to the bare bones of the script. Go, this happens and this happens and this happens. And we realized, oh, they really like the songs. They really liked the songs. So I thought, yes, the songs are a hit. Yes. And also it enabled me to figure out what was important from what wasn't important, because my initial draft, I think, was something like 2.5 hours long without a break. And kids are not going to sit there for 2.5 hours, no matter how fun it is. So I had to figure out, well, what am I going to cut? And watching that stripped down version, I kind of went, right, I see what's important. Let's just get to the story. And watching it this time, the other thing that it reminds me of is visual and physical humor is very important. So if I do write more stuff for Theatre Peckham going forward for that audience, I'm going to try and put more visual, physical gags in. And adults like physical humor as well. So we'll do all that. Yeah.
Going back to the music side of things, so one of the things my daughter did ask is there a soundtrack? Because neither of us can get the wonderful theme tune out of our heads. And I'd love to be able to hear it again.
I'll speak to Suzann, Ben, who's the musical director, and the composers about that, and see if we can make that happen. I think that's a nice idea. It'd be
lovely. And it would be on our Christmas playlist. But going back to music, How do you link the music to the storyline? Like what's that process like?
Well, I've written complete songs before, so lyrics and music. And often when I write a song, I can't, the way my brain works when I'm writing a song is I've got a tune and a basic arrangement in my head beforehand anyway. But because I wasn't going to be the composer, I tried to pull back on that this time around. But I tried to tell the composers, give them an idea of what I was looking for. And sometimes they went with my idea, sometimes they came up with something completely different. The opening, for instance, the opening song that Effie sings when she's singing about how depressed she is living in Peckham. Yeah. I had a completely different musical genre and style in my head to the one, I think Jordan Xavier composed the music for that. I had a completely different thing in my head. And then I heard what he did and I thought, that's better than what I have. It's really, there's just something about what he's done that's just really captured the right mood of that. It's starts off really soft and then it kind of builds and it's that kind of thing. The song About the Wonderful, that's the other composer, Nick, I think, did that one. And what he came up with is very much in keeping with what I had in mind for it musically. I wanted that kind of style because we're in Ozanda, it's this futuristic African place. I wanted something that had that kind of, it's kind of Afro beats meets sort of like old style soca kind of thing, because my background is, my parents are from Antigua, so I kind of grew up listening to soca music and the Mighty Sparrow and people like that. Yeah. So I still have all of those things in my head. Yeah. So it's for Monkey Force, which I know is a hit with the kids, I just thought I want that to be funk, and so I just had to say funk, and they just did it. There you go. Sorry, keep talking.
No, please do. I'm just wondering. So basically, you would have to record it and then upload it to Apple.
Oh, so what I would do is I write lyrics.
Yeah.
And then I had a thing in my head about the rhythm of the lyrics, and then I'd send it to them, and then they'd try and work around that. And sometimes they'd work a tune that supported the rhythm of the lyrics that I wrote, or sometimes they'd go in a different direction, and that was fine. And but much of what they did, whenever I listened to it, I thought, that's good.
I think it's great that you were able to incorporate your Caribbean roots into it. Well, in terms of the music. So can you tell us about the challenges of actually working on a Christmas show? So it's people have their expectations of what a Christmas show should be. I would say that The Wonderful definitely ticks all the boxes. What do you think?
I don't know, because I wasn't, although I knew it was going to be put on at Christmas, I wasn't necessarily I wasn't necessarily aiming for Christmassy themes, but I know that one of the things that is good about Christmas is that it's one of the few times of the year where everyone feels good about everything. It's just weird. Christmas, I find that there's two times of the year when you're on public transport and people are really nice to each other. One of them is Christmas, and the other is like those first few days of summer when the sun really comes out and it's hot, and everyone's just like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then Christmas is the other one where, how you doing? So happy. The other time of the year, everyone's on the bus like, cold and rainy. I don't like it. My life is awful. I hate it, kind of thing. So I think for a Christmas show, it's just about creating that feel-good thing. And I wanted the overall thing about, feeling good about yourself and having a lot of self-love, I think goes with the Christmas vibe.
Yeah, and one thing I did notice as well was just how colourful the set was as well. It's like lots of rainbow colours and sparkle.
Yeah, I've got to give credit to Katrina, who is the original set designer. And also we have a woman called Emma Wee who did the costumes and also contributed ideas to the set. Yeah. So those two have done a really good job with making it look really nice.
Yeah, they did. I definitely agree. And do you remember the first Christmas show that you went to?
Oh gosh, no, because oh, I no, I can't remember. Because I don't. The, I grew up sort of, had my early childhood in Britain, and then I spent the next 9 years of my life, my teen years, in the Caribbean, and we don't really. Do they do Christmas shows? I know I lived in Jamaica for 6 years, and they certainly have a rich theatrical
Yeah,
tradition. So I saw a lot of theatre when I was, when I was still a kid there.
that's
So
brilliant.
I don't remember I can't remember what the first play was I ever saw. I remember when I was little and still living in England, my mum took me, it wasn't a Christmas show, but she
Yeah,
took me to see a Gilbert and Sullivan
okay.
opera, The Mikado, and I really liked it.
Wow.
So that's possibly my first trip to the theatre to watch something. That's
I love
great.
that memory.
Yeah.
And what's next? Are you going to be doing any more Christmas shows, or are you writing, what are you working on at the moment?
I'm writing some material for like a music review show. I will more details of that as and when it comes to fruition.
Okay.
And I'm going to sit with me and Suzann are going to sit down and discuss the possibility of writing a show for next year.
Yeah,
But we haven't decided what that will be yet.
that's fair enough.
Behind, be hard. I've got to try and top this one. I don't know if I could do that, but we're
Well,
go.
yeah, which I was going to ask, are you happy with the feedback? Because it's what I've seen.
Yeah, the feedback's been phenomenal. I was hoping it would be good, but it's been really good. I saw a clip of because they've been doing morning shows for most of this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, yesterday. Oh, and today, I think they did a morning show today. And those morning shows are just for groups of school children.
Yeah.
And I saw a clip from a Wednesday morning show, and it's like about 150 odd kids in the audience, and they were I think the song that they were watching was the main man's song, and they were just going crazy. They're just chanting along with it, and I just thought, wow, this is why we do. Sorry, this is going to sound really like all lovey and everything, but this is kind of why we do it. So for people like that, and I'm hoping that experience will keep them interested in the theatre and live performance going forward.
Definitely. And which leads me on to my final question, which is, if people haven't seen The Wonderful yet, which I think they should, in your own words, why should people come and see The Wonderful at Theatre Peckham?
Because it's wonderful. It's magical. It's a fun show. Regardless of whether you're young or old, there's something in it for everyone. I think it's a funny script. I think we've got some good songs. We've got some really great performances from the adults, but the children, who are not professional child actors, they aspire to be, and some of them will probably go on to study at places like the Brit School and stuff. For some of them, this is their first performance on stage, and they are unbelievable. Some of them are as young as 10. I didn't have the chops to go on stage and do all that when I was 10. So I'm just like, wow, they are fantastic. So if you want to see like the future stars of tomorrow, go and see The Wonderful. Have
That's
fun.
brilliant. Thank you so much. It was really lovely to meet you online. And thank you for your show, which I thoroughly enjoyed, as did my daughter as well. And hopefully I'll get to speak to you again another time.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.